look, I'm going to say it again, and KT is going to join me in a second. A lot of very smart people, smarter than me. I'm not that smart. I did sports for 17 years. But I'm right about just about everything. And the war had been right the whole way. The whole way. I loved Midnight Hammer. It was great. We basically ruined Iran's chance of building a weapon then. That was it, right then and there. Knocked out their centrifuges, and that's all we needed, really. But I was good with Operation Epic Fury. I liked it. Wiped out 40 of their big leaders like Comey and others. But I've been making the argument for months, yelling and screaming at guests on this show, people at my station, smarter than me, that we've won nothing. This thing's a mess. We've been stuck for the better part of 2.5 months. Stuck. No. Look at this number. Look at that number. Now look at the numbers. All I've been saying is wipe them out. We had that opportunity a couple of months ago. Now Trump's a nice guy. I know that. I love Donald Trump. I love him dearly. And that's who he is. He doesn't want to kill innocent people. But you can't get into a war with people like this without doing it. And you can't win until you do. So let's stop the nonsense about the Dow Jones and oil prices. Stop it. Oil prices, guess what? Back to $100 a barrel. Gas over $4. American soldiers are dying. And we're about to be on the brink once again of all-out war. So like I said, and I've been saying, we won nothing. We don't win until we wipe out a whole bunch of that IRGC. That's the win. Not just the dust. Not just the straight. If these people are still there, nothing changes. Every peace proposal they laugh at. So I've been right all along. I'm sorry. I have been. And now Trump is doing what he should have been doing, quite frankly, 2 months ago. KT McFarland, what do you think?
I am reluctantly coming to the same conclusion.
I know you are. I know you reluctantly, but I've been begging you. I've been hitting you over the head, KT. Why are you getting there? Why are you getting there?
Because if you see what they're willing to do and how they're using the Strait of Hormuz as a weapon, how they're whatever revenues they are getting from somewhere, they're using to rebuild their nuclear program, their missile arsenal, you realize that this is what would they do if they possess nuclear weapons right now? I mean, they would use them. They wouldn't just threaten to use them.
I think so.
They would use them.
I think so. But by the way, that's why I love Midnight Hammer. That's why I'm good with Trump going in. He showed the courage that the last 6 presidents should have shown. I'm not mad at Trump. He did the right thing. What I'm mad at is the last couple of months, who's ever giving him information and who's ever making some of those decisions, they messed up a lot, KT.
However we got there, we're here. And so what do you do next? And I'm looking at the numbers of, so how many are in the IRGC? What is the Iranian, the Artesh it's called, well, the regular Iranian army, not the Revolutionary Guard, but there's this second military, the Artesh, that predates the Revolutionary Guard. Right. They're about 400,000. And they're a trained military. And they're not as ideologically driven. Maybe their top leadership tier is more ideologically driven because they're hand-chosen, but the rest of them are not. The IRGC is ideologically driven, and they're maybe 180,000. So is there an alternative? If there is a leadership split in Iran right now, and I think there is, there's the guys who we're negotiating with, I think they really do want a deal because they know they have to run the country. And you don't run a country of 91 million people if you're going to be, destitute for the next generation. You need to have intact a civilian infrastructure. You need to have intact an energy infrastructure. It's the only way you're ever going to make any money. So is there a way to drive a wedge between them? And is there a way to say that, look, these are not good guys. They're crazy and crazier. But the crazier are the ones that I think we can't deal with, and those are the guys who are running the IRGC. And so we're now working, as President Trump says, we got rid of the first tier of those leaders, the second tier, now we're on the third tier. Well, what about the 12th tier? Is there somebody there who's willing to make a deal? Because if President Trump had not done what he had done, Iran was going to get nuclear weapons. Now, whether it was going to be a month from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, doesn't matter.
Agreed.
They were going to get nuclear weapons.
Right.
And if they had nuclear weapons, they would use nuclear
Agreed.
weapons.
No, I got no issue with what Trump did. I really don't. I find him courageous and gutty, and he did the right thing. But there is execution that matters. And, Brian Kilmeade told me something this morning, which I liked. He said, sometimes you get into war, you have these issues with very bad people. But you know what? Very bad people, very bad, will occasionally make a deal. But irrational people,
Make a deal.
Right, whether it's Putin or the Iranians, and I've been calling them irrational for months and months. I said, you're wasting your time, Kushner, Witkoff, J.D. Vance, Trump. It's a waste of time. They don't care if they die. They certainly don't care if their civilians die. They don't care. They're going to fight this tooth and nail to the very end. So if you're going to start it, we're basically out of options. That's it. We're out of options.
And again, I look at Hamas. Okay, so, we talked about Hamas. Hamas was a plague on the Palestinian people for decades. They used their women and children as human shields. They wanted to keep fighting. They didn't care if their people got killed because they believed in their messianic cause.
Correct.
The only way we ultimately got rid of Hamas was Israel, did some careful assassinations of the top first, second, third, fifth tier of Hamas leadership, and the Gulf Arabs stopped giving them money. So now where are we in Gaza? There's a Gaza peace plan. We're not talking about Hamas anymore. That had been an intractable problem for 50 years, and now it is on its way to solution. Not clean, not pretty, but it's getting there. Maybe the IRGC is Hamas. Maybe they are the people that you cannot reason with. Like you said, they're a messianic cult. They'd far rather be martyrs than they would to have any kind of a deal, and they're perfectly happy to have 91 million people go with them.
Yeah, they are. And by the way, they're worse than Hamas. You know what they are? And we know this. This is a fact. It's not Sid Rosenberg's opinion, because I could produce financial data to prove it. They're Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah all wrapped up in one, because they fund all three of those groups.
Right. And so, unfortunately, with the price of oil going up, they're finding their way to getting more income. It's like, it's like a two-edged sword. You want the price of oil to go down because you bankrupt those guys. You want the price of oil to go down because it obviously is good for the American economy and President Trump. It's electoral possibilities. But you're not going to get the price of oil down until you finish this war.
Here's the other thing. But the price of oil, and again, I hate conspiracy theorists, but I think I'm becoming one as I'm getting older. Because I told you this, too, weeks ago. And I think it's true. I think they're getting money. I think they are. And I think we know about it. I do. I think the Russians, they're broke, but they got something. Chinese. I know they're getting weapons. I know Iran is getting weapons from Russia, China, and other spots. I think they may have more weapons than we do at this point. Our munitions are low. It's close.
They're certainly getting intelligence.
I think they're getting intelligence. I think they're getting weapons. And I think there's an Arab country or two out there giving them money. And if I'm right, and I've been right a lot of the way here, if I'm right, they're even more dangerous than we think. And the fight is not nearly over, if I'm right.
To me, I'm looking for two things. I want President Trump to talk to the American people and level with the American people. The great thing about Trump is he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's not a pol. He doesn't spin. And I would love him to take an opportunity to speak to the American people.
I would love that, too. Let me stop you right now. Because I love that, too, and you're brilliant. So if you were going to write the speech for Trump, and you worked for 4 different presidents, including Trump, you worked for the 2 greatest presidents of our generation, Trump and Reagan. If you're going to write that speech, and I want the same thing you want, what would you tell Trump to say?
Well, I've written those speeches. I've written the speeches to the nation, the Oval Office speeches. The greatest speeches are the ones, whether it's Abraham Lincoln or Ronald Reagan or FDR, you lay out the problem. You convince the American people it's a problem. And then you give the American people a solution. And then you say to the American people, I want you to sacrifice with me to get this solution, to get this done. And that's what Reagan did. That's what FDR did. That's what Abraham Lincoln did. Frankly, it's what George Washington did at Valley Forge. So what is the problem? A problem is Iran, and just as you and I have discussed, this is a group of people who would rather die and rather have millions of people die along with them than to give up their objective, which is to destroy Israel, kill every Jew, kill every Christian, and then somehow their version, their particular version of Islam prevails. And that's what they believe. So they're dangerous not only to themselves. I don't care about that as much, but I care that they're dangerous to the American people and to the world. They have to be eliminated. We've tried everything. We've tried negotiating. We've tried bankrupting. We've just tried everything. But this is a group of people that just can no longer be allowed to be in a position of authority, and particularly to have nuclear weapons. So we have to stop their nuclear program. We have to stop their missile program. And we have to stop their ability to hold the world hostage. Here's what I'm proposing to do. I'm going to take out their entire military. I'm proposing that we will have to work with other countries in the Gulf to eliminate their leadership. And I'm proposing that the solution is that the world is going to not use these critical waterways. They're going to use pipelines. They're going to buy American oil and natural gas. And I want you, the American people, to give me the space I need to accomplish this. I'm not talking about a 20-year plan. I'm not talking about a 20-month plan. I'm saying we're going to go in, and we're going to go hard, and we're going to go now. And we also have a solution, which is that we have a group in Iran, or we feel that the Iranian leadership is there to replace and to run Iran. So we're not talking about American boots on the ground. We are talking about a homegrown Iranian revolution that we are going to encourage and speed along.
Love it. One more for you, KT. That was great. Really great. Go back to work for him, will you? Do me a favor. Call him today. Say, here's what I propose, President Trump. He loves you. This lunatic mayor of ours, I asked Brian this morning. I'm going to ask you, too. I'm surprised about how many people in this country have bought into the Israel genocide, that nonsense. It's a complete lie, complete. How many of them hate Bibi? These are Christians. I mean, do they not understand that they wouldn't have a religion if not for the Jewish people? Let's be honest. The Old Testament, a lot of the stuff that you see in church comes from Judaism, right? We know that. Jesus, by the way, was Jewish. So I'm surprised how quickly Christians turn on Bibi. It's actually very alarming to me.
I'm not sure that it's Christians turning on Bibi as much as people who really don't believe in a whole lot of anything.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm saying you're right. And most Christians are with us. Most are. Most. Overwhelmingly most. I'm surprised at even a small percentage. Look, the truth is the Democrats have built their party on Jew hating, and you got a couple of fringe lunatics on the right, led by people like Tucker Carlson, who are gladly buying into this, and it's gross, and it's a lie, and it's terrible. But I'm starting to feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, that especially here in New York City, with Mamdani and his obsession with this prime minister while people are dying from Legionnaire's disease and people are being taxed out of the state and we have a million issues in this city and he's worried about Bibi coming into town. I'm starting to think that maybe the tide is turning just a little. What do you think?
You mean turning against this mayor or turning against anti-Semitism?
Maybe a little bit of both. Maybe.
Well, I think we've reached peak woke. I hope we've reached peak anti-Semitism. And as far as the mayor, things are just going to go from bad to worse. I mean, where are we going to be a year from now when there'll be no firefighters? We're not paying the guys to pick up the garbage. It is going to be a real crisis for New York because what are they going to do? They're just going to, all the rich people will have left. And so they're then going to have to tax the middle class. The people that Mamdani voted for, if you actually look at the numbers, whether he did or didn't win, the people who supposedly voted for him were not the people who live in New York. These are the people who were here temporarily on their first job, and they're angry because they're priced out of every market. You want to solve the housing crisis? There are 50,000 apartments that are just languished and left empty in New York City. You could solve that housing crisis in a minute if you change the rent control laws. They won't do it.
They won't do it. You're right. And a lot of those voters, too, are white middle-class people. To your point, we're the ones who are going to get hammered. It doesn't matter to Bill Ackman or Ken Griffin or John Katsimatidis. We get killed, And we're the ones who voted for him. Not me, but women specifically, So in the end, the people that he promised to save are the people that he's going to hammer. I see Bill Ackman was on Fox News yesterday, and he's contemplating running for mayor. I say, go ahead. You got $10 billion. Trump loves you. You love New York. I've been a little back and forth with Bill because he did extend an olive branch to the mayor right after he won. I never did. You know that. Never. He did. So did Jamie Dimon. But, okay, fine. Who cares? He's here. He's got money. He is angry with the mayor. He knows what it takes to rebuild a financial mess. So if you're Bill Ackman, do it, right? Why not?
The thing about Mandami is I think a lot of the anti-Israel, I'm going to arrest Bibi Netanyahu. There was a part of me that thought, something, you try to go after Bibi Netanyahu in New York, what's going to happen? I mean, do you really think that you want to go up against Mossad, Israeli
exactly.
Oh, man.
Right.
Anyway, and then I got more serious about it. But I think that part of this whole is this distraction that Mandami is using to focus on Israel, focus on Bibi Netanyahu, focus on all the graffiti that is, kill the Jews, that's being written all over Midtown Manhattan. I think it's because he's not delivering all the things he told all those people who voted for him, all the things he was going to give them, the free grocery stores, the free child care, the free transportation, everything's going to be terrific. None of that stuff has happened.
True, but he also promised to arrest Bibi Netanyahu, and now he can't do it. So that's another promise he broke. Yeah.
But it's pandering and distracting. Look over here. Don't look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Look over here at the shiny object.
You're right. You're right. And he did break a lot of those promises, and seemingly he breaks a promise every week. You don't. You come every week and do a fantastic job. I love you, KT McFarland. Enjoy the Hamptons this weekend, as always. Great conversation. We'll do it again next week, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid.
Come on, KT. You're the best. KT McFarland right here on Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?